A few days ago, I reviewed the series called Jiangshi X, and I compared it to Naruto a lot, and it got me thinking about the way that pacing has changed for a lot of series over time. Especially in regards to what Jiangshi X does in one chapter versus what Naruto does within its first 8 chapters, and what the focuses are on now. I think it's very interesting looking at a modern shonen like that and comparing the pacing of it to an old one, because within its first chapter, Jiangshi X is doing some character introduction and its Bell equivalent test. And while that's not necessarily a bad thing, I think it has faults in the way that you don't necessarily get as invested in the story or the characters as well, to the point that this ending where they all pass doesn't hit nearly as well. It's really interesting looking at it in comparison to Naruto, because now I might think, like, what if this came out now? Would that pacing be seen as slow? Because in its first few chapters, Naruto is very much focusing on the character introductions. The very first chapter is focused on just 2 characters, Naruto and Iruka. And after that, it starts introducing the rest of its main cast in it. So the first few chapters is for Team 7, introducing them and Kakashi. There's a chapter specifically dedicated to all of them telling each other about themselves. And because of that, you now understand these characters better, you understand their dynamics, you understand the way that they're probably going to react, and then it further fleshes out in the training arc. It's really interesting looking at the Bell test now, because now it looks like an entire mini arc to me compared to the way a lot of series do theirs now. There are chapters dedicated to everyone's little moment in the fight and all of their flaws, and making sure to flesh those flaws out so they can all be berated for it and then expanded on it. And because the series was made to do that, the pass moment hits a lot harder than it does in Jiangshi X. Kakashi has a lot more character than whoever the teacher is for Jiangshi X. Him telling them to pass is built off of the fact that we also know that he'd always fail these other characters and how strict of a teacher he is. So it's all built up to, and also the fact that it's such a small moment compared to the bombastic action scenes in the actual little training arc itself just makes the pass even more effective, because it's such a little heartfelt moment. It's just sharing food with one another. One doesn't necessarily have to be better than the other, but one did feel a lot more effective than the other.